wanted to share with you our project, Test in the Waters with OpenCV. This project was given to us by Appareo, and essentially the problem is we need to, given an image, find the water level in each test tube. So in came computer vision, and this computer vision is giving computers the ability to understand what they see. So given an image, it will convert it to pixels, and from there we can apply mathematics and other procedures to try and figure something out about the image. In our case, how much water is in each test tube. So our initial thoughts were, well, we'll just find the vertical lines and the horizontal lines of the water level, and from there we'll just kind of figure out what's what. But this became kind of a mess, so we need a cleaner solution. In came markers. You can see the yellow markers on top and bottom, and when we match two markers vertically, we are able to find out what is the container of the test tube. So given this rectangle here, it is much easier to find this water level than if we did not have the markers. And this is our final solution, and from here we would output a bunch of percentages of how much water is in each test tube.
For the web application, we use Flask. Flask is a lightweight, easy-to-use, Python-based web framework. It's classified as a micro-web framework because it doesn't require any tools or libraries. It has no database abstraction layer, it has no form validation, or anything else that different libraries that already exist can handle. So instead of all of that, Flask has the support for extensions to add whatever functionality the developer needs. In Flask's case, micro means that it is small by default, not that it stays small. Some benefits of using Flask include that it is very lightweight, since it only has whatever features the developer needs. It is very easy to use, and it is well documented online, and it scales easily with its support for extensions.
So far, we've talked about OpenCV and Flask separately, but now we need to think about how we can put these things together so that the user can read the information. The issue is that OpenCV cannot communicate with the user interface by itself. That is where we use Flask to connect our OpenCV software to the user. In the far left image, you can see the process of OpenCV reading the information from the captured image of the camera to detect the levels of the water within the tubes that we are reading. Now, in the top right image, you can see the process of OpenCV reading that image, outputting the data that it receives from that image and the image of itself, and sending that information over. Now the great thing about Flask is that Flask is able to communicate with OpenCV and our front-end user interface to connect these things. In the bottom right image, you see the logic then implemented so that this information is refreshed and this process is repeated every 5 seconds so that we get a constant update of the information happening. This is allowed because Flask is connecting that from OpenCV and connecting it to our user interface. This holistic process of connecting these three things together is what has allowed us to get our information and our camera data to the user through these specific connections. And this is what allowed us to solve this problem.
So this is a final working example. You can see the blue boxes are what we detect as a marker on the top, and the red are the ones we detect as markers on the bottom. Then in between, we look for the water level, and that is represented as the blue line. And you can see it is actually quite dynamic, where I'll remove a little water and it can detect it, and then I can remove water and add water, and it'll detect it again. So just a brief overview of how we do this is we detect the top marker and we detect the bottom marker, and then we crop on what we call the area of interest, and then we do canny edge to find the edges, and then we look for a horizontal line. And one of the filters on lines is we have the angle, and then we look to make sure that it's at least 10% of the width of the tube. Otherwise, it would more than likely just be a point of light. So we have to be able to filter that out.